Hi everyone, our journal page today, and I've posted this some time ago, and some of you asked to see a video how to make it. I'm going to do the same steps, but the image will be just a little bit different. I can't do again and again the same thing. This is just waiting for the lockdown to finish, and then I'm going to frame it. I've used boring 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, and I've made it on the scrapbook paper. Today I'm going to work in this art journal. This is a sketchbook, an A3 size sketchbook, quite large, and basically I'm going to do the same thing. As I said, the image will be a little bit different. And also the beginning of this page is with book pages. I've used some from a pocketbook, a very old pocketbook like this one. These are the best because they are already in this gorgeous color. So if you can put your hands on something like that, these are the best. But I'm going to use something else today. I have some book pages with all kinds of drawing, so I'm going to use this. Will just have to work more on staining it. So first of all, I'm just going to start gluing down the pages, and I'm using plain white glue, and there is no overthinking it, just putting down some glue and the pages. The only thing that I'm trying to do when I do this kind of background with book pages is just to eliminate most of this blank space. It's not interesting to me, so I'm putting it right now a little bit off the edges, and I will cut the excess later. And I'm also going over the page with the glue. It would be easier to work on it later. So I've got nice coating, and moving to put another page, and too much, as I said, blank space, so I'm just cutting it. Doesn't have to be sized with a ruler or something, just trimmed it, and now I'm just going to put it like this. So I think it just adds to the interest in the background. Now when you're putting the white glue on your page, make sure everything is covered. If it's not covered, you will have an air bubble. I think I will just trim a little bit right now. Yeah, later I will do it correctly. So moving on to another page, just to as I said, to cover everything. So again, I'm trimming the excess. I will glue it like this and cover the page. So I'm going to come back when everything is glued and dry. I'm back. So I've got it covered, the excess was cut, and now I want to stain it, to add color to it. I've used this ink pads by Tim Holtz. I've got Vintage Photo, Walnut Stain, and Ground Espresso, and I'm always starting with the lighter one. So, and it also depends on the quality of your book pages, so it's better to start with light and build up. And I'm spraying it and just doing things like this, and I can also smoosh it and spread it around like so. and if I feel I need more, I will add more. Now this is not the only way. If you don't have the Tim Holtz ink pads, there are all kinds of ways to go about it. You can take acrylic paint and dilute it with water. You can take this is the plainest of felt pans. You can do this, and again spray it with water. You can also use gelatos and anything water reactive that can give you these stains. So I'm just wiping this off, and I'm moving to the next. This is the walnut stain, and there is also wood stain from the hardware store, and I buy it in the cheap store, in the hardware aisle. And I'm not talking about varnish. This is water-based, and it's not smelly, and it's really nice, and it will give you, it also depends on what you want to accomplish, but I can give you an example how it would look. I've put it on brown paper bags, and that's how it looks, almost like leather, but it's not. It's just crumpled book bag paper from the grocery store, and I just went all over it with this wood stain. This is medium oak, but there are all kinds of colors for wood stain, so you can play with it and you can see what colors you like to use. So as you can see, I'm just continuing to stain my page with all kinds of this brown ink pads, and I'm moving to the darker one, the ground espresso. I'm more careful with it because it's darker. Now you can also go all over with watercolors, also an option. So I'm going to give it a blast from my heat tool, and I'll come back. Okay, so this is almost dry, but it's soaked into the paper, so it won't move on me, because I wanted to continue building the marks or the stains or whatever to call it, but I didn't want it to come together. So now I'm using one of my homemade sprays. It's a gel food coloring, few drops with water, and there is no recipe. I just put it together and check if I like how intensive it is. So I'm spraying this here, and I wanted a watermark like a glass, and so I'm taking this and just doing this, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It only needs to give the impression of someone leaving a coffee or something on this. It also adds to the overall interest in the page. So I'm going to take what's left here with a fan brush and splatter it, because I don't want to lose paint, and it adds just a little something. Even if you don't see every dot, it's just one more thing to build up the staining and the interest. So I'm again going to give it a blast from my heat tool, and because it makes a lot of noise I'm doing it off camera, and I'll come back. I'm back. So now I'm going to continue with the stain, and I'm going to use the wood stain that I talked about, and I'm going to use a sponge, and I'm just spraying it a little bit with water to moisten it and dipping into the stain and just going randomly and covering most of the white spaces, or almost white. If I didn't use this, if I took a makeup sponge with the wood stain, then I would get the effect that I showed you on this that looks like a leather. Here I'm using the sponge, so it has an irregular well, print, I don't know what to call it. Now this you can work as much as you want. If you want it more darker, then you just have to keep going at it. I think this is quite nice. Maybe later, if I see that it's not enough, I can add to it. Now I don't know if you've seen in the other piece, but now I'm going for bronze metallic. It adds to the whole thing. It's kind of hard to see it in when you photo with the video, but maybe when tilting it to the light. So I'm again taking a little bit, this is acrylic paint, and the same sponge, not even washing it, and again just randomly adding to the whole thing, quite random. Yeah, let's see if I tilt it, maybe you can see where there is bronze on my page. So that's for the stain. I think maybe I will add, let's see, maybe with this, with my spray, I can go around the edges to make them darker. Don't know. Let's see. Not so much. Maybe if it was acrylic paint, but I will leave it for later. So this needs to dry before I do anything else. I'll be back. So background is dry, and I'm continuing to the stencil of the mandala. This is, I bought it from AliExpress. Most of my stencils, the ones that I don't make, like something like that, I can't do this kind of thing, are from AliExpress or from the cheap store. And I didn't want the inside, I wanted to leave a clear space, so I just used some masking tape to cover it. So I'm placing it here, and it's going to go a little bit out of the edges, but I don't care. That's good enough for me. I've got some black paint here and a makeup sponge. Now this is going to take some time. Now when you have an intricate stencil like this, then you need to work harder to get it to be a nice crisp image from it. But it's better to dab your makeup sponge and almost not have enough paint than to have too much, and then everything will just leak underneath, so it's better to have a lot less and just go over a second time than some spillage underneath. Now I'm in any other project I would just put more pressure on the sponge so it will print more crisp from the first time, but I'm not trying for it here. I wanted something a little bit faded in some areas, so you get an effect like I don't know, like a faded tapestry or ancient tapestry, I don't know what to call it. So I'm just tapping, and I don't care if I have sections that are faded and not completely black. That's the whole point, to have variation in the image from the stencil. And I will lift it a little bit in a minute just so you will see what I'm talking about. So you can see that here I have a faded image from the stencil. Now if you don't like it, don't do it. I just wanted, as I said, a more faded image in several places. So if it's faded here, I can decide that now I want it to be more crisp, more black. Now you don't have to use acrylic paint. You can use if you have it ink pads like the Tim Holtz, and do it with the makeup brush or with the tool for it, with the sponge in at the end. So up to you what you are using for the stenciling. I'm going back only on parts that I want more defined, and parts that I don't care, that I want faded, I'm just moving along. So I'm going to continue doing this and I'll come back. I'm back. So I've stenciled a little bit of the mandala here and here just to make it look like it's the well, the continuing of the tapestry, whatever, I don't know what you call it. And now I want to stencil my focal image. I've decided to go with this and not the crow again, and I'm going to use again black and the same thing as before. Dab it until you feel like you don't have a lot of paint, and gently tap on your stencil. This stencil again from AliExpress. No, I don't have any stock or anything there, but I can get a lot of interesting stencils. Takes a lot of time to reach here, but interesting stencils for a lot less money. So if it's not in the cheap store, then I will buy it from AliExpress. I was kind of debating with myself if I wanted to be black or use another darker color like brown or blue or purple. I was so not I didn't have a fix on it, but decided to go with the black, and it's just a stencil, so if I don't like it I can go over it. Even on black, if I don't like it I can cover it with white gesso and start from the beginning and change color. But I think the black will just go with the rest of the page. No need to introduce a new color here. this the image from this stencil, I'm not trying to make it look faded, so if I think it's not enough, I'm just going back and tapping again until I get a nice image. I'm holding it and lifting to see how it looks. It looks fine. I think maybe I will add some contour lines, so it will, in several places it will be more visible, but I like it as is. So I'm moving this aside, and I'm really wanting the edges to be darker. I think for this I will use, I've got water soluble oil pastels, and sadly I don't have the brown, the dark brown that I want, but I'm going to use this brown and black. Now you don't have to have this kind of thing. You can use whatever you want. Again, it can be watercolors, it can be your sprays, it can be ink pads, whatever you like, whatever you have. The only I think that I'm using this because it gives me just a little bit more control of where I'm putting the shading of the edges and how far. And if I wanted to use like an ink pad with a sponge, then I have less control over it. So putting this and now activating it with water. Let's see, let's take this brush, and I need my spray bottle. I'm just putting a little bit of water here and activating it. I think I need a wider brush, so I won't have small brush strokes showing. I want it almost blended. And if it won't be enough, I can always add more. As I said before, always better to start lightly if you are not sure, and then add. And I'm also going inside the page and smearing, and I don't have enough here. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just working on darkening the edges and also going inside a little bit to blend it into the page. If I think I need more, I'm just adding where I think it's needed. Oops. More black here. There's no rules to it. It's just what you like, where you want it more darker, and that's it. So edges are taken care of. Another thing, if you don't have all this, I don't know, fancy stuff, before I had the ink pads or this, I used a pencil eyeliner. It's a black one, and it smears just great. So for darkening edges, and of course it comes in lots of colors, so again you can mix brown and black and have the same result. So it's another thing that you can use instead of this. So I'm going to take a step back, and I'm thinking of adding some lines to more define my focal image. Not sure. I'll be back. I'm back. So remembered I had a pen, a gold pen, and this is from Uniball, and it's a pigment ink gold. I just want to add it in several places. Don't know how much of it will show, but I figured, why not? If it shows, great. No, never mind. So I'm adding it only on top of the petals, almost like adding some highlights. If I had bronze, I would use bronze because I have it in the back. Doesn't have to be exact, just adding a little bit. I hope I will remember at the end to bring it closer to the camera and show you all the details. I'm always forgetting to do that. It's like, I'm finished, that's it. So basically that's it for how to make this kind of thing. At the other project with the crow, I didn't do any lines. I don't know, it just because it fit into the circle of the mandala, I didn't find that it's needed more definition. Even this, I'm not sure it was needed, but never mind. Okay. I'm not really picky where it's going. Just heading it where I feel it needs to go. Again, no rules, just do what feels right to you. If you stencil your image and you don't feel that it needs any defining lines, then don't do it. Went all wonky on me. When my hand is getting tired, then I start doing very wonky lines. Yeah, I think this is it. That's enough for my page. Don't forget, here it is. So that's my page. I hope you liked it. I hope you'll do your own project and have fun with it. Thank you for watching, and thank you for leaving me comments below. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.